Hola, clase, bienvenidos. En esta lección hoy van a aprender los pronombres de los objetos indirectos. So in today's lesson, you're going to learn the indirect object pronouns. You learned the direct object pronouns in a previous lesson, and the indirect object pronouns also function the same way as the direct object pronouns do, in that as far as placement of where they go in a sentence. But instead of instead of receiving the action of the verb like the direct objects did, they're going to tell to whom or for whom an action is done, or to whom or for whom something is done. Okay, so if we take a sentence like Jorge gives money to his son. Jorge, the subject, buys is the verb, or gives is the verb, sorry. Gives is the verb, money is the direct object, and to his son is the indirect object. All right, because that tells you to whom he's giving money, right? That's the indirect object. Now, let me give you a list of the indirect object pronouns. Okay, so me, that could be to or for me. So that the to or the for is included in that indirect object pronoun. All right, te is to or for you. And then le can be to or for you formal, or to or for him, or to or for her. Nos is to or for us. Os is to or for you all in Spain. And then les is to or for you all, or to or for them. All right, and again, you just memorize these, no problem. All right, let's practice now with, we'll put that sentence I did into Espanol. So we said Jorge gives money to his son. So first we'll just do it without the pronouns. So Jorge da dinero a su hijo. All right, so again, you use the pronouns, the indirect object pronouns, to avoid repetition, just like you did with the direct object pronouns. So you want to say Jorge gives money to him, right? So to him, if you look on the little chart, you see the to him is le. So you're going to put that le before the conjugated verb, just like you did with the direct object pronouns. So Jorge le da dinero. Jorge le da dinero. And also in Spanish, you can again say a su hijo. You can repeat that again. For the third person singular and plural, a lot of times you repeat the indirect object again. So Jorge le da dinero a su hijo. I know it sounds weird in English, but this happens a lot in Spanish. You don't really need to do that for the me or the te or the nos. But with the le and the les, a lot of times you'll just repeat the indirect object as well as use the indirect object pronoun. You definitely have to use the indirect object pronoun. All right, now let's do another one. How about the waiter serves the food to them? So we have the waiter, subject, serves, verb, food is the direct object, to them is going to be the indirect object. So let's put that in Espanol. So Jorge, did I say no? I said the waiter. El mesero sirve comida a ellos or para ellos. So you want to replace the a ellos or para ellos, to them, with the indirect object pronoun, which would be les, right? So el mesero les sirve comida a ellos, or just el mesero les sirve comida. Muy bien. So you know that in a sentence, when there's a to or a for followed by a person, you know that's the indirect object. Okay, muy bien. There's also certain verbs that you use a lot with, that you use mostly with indirect object pronouns. And I'll read you a list of them. So contar is to tell, dar to give, decir to say or to tell, devolver to return, mostrar is to show, pedir to order or to ask for, preguntar to ask, prestar to loan, and servir to serve. Okay, so those verbs are usually going to take an indirect object pronoun. Like we used a couple, we used dar and servir already in examples. Okay, and another thing is about these indirect object pronouns is that you've actually used them with the verb gustar. It might make more sense now. Remember, gustar was the backwards verb, and so you were just conjugating gustar, either singular or plural, and then the indirect object pronoun told you who did the liking, right? So now if you say me gusta la pizza, I like pizza, literally the pizza is pleasing to me. So you can see the me is to me. Or le gustan los helados. Like it could be he likes ice creams. So the ice creams are pleasing to him. Le gustan los helados. Okay, so this might make more sense now in the grand scheme of things. And you'll also use or you'll also learn verbs that act like gustar in a later lesson. So you'll be using these indirect objects again in another lesson. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. The indirect object pronouns. Oh, one other thing. Just like you did with the direct object pronouns, if you have a conjugated verb and an infinitive, you can hook that indirect object pronoun onto the infinitive, or you can put it in front of the conjugated verb like you always do. So if I say, prefiero dar dinero a mi hijo, like I prefer to give money to my son, or I quiero dar dinero a mi hijo, I want to give money to my son. I could say le quiero dar dinero a mi hijo, o quiero darle dinero a mi hijo. Bueno, all right. Hasta la próxima vez. Nos veremos muy pronto. Chao.